Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the DEB Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I'm also the author of your Goal Guide and 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. And so every week I bring in some of my people to dive into the topic. And today we're talking about community building, but this conversation is like the perfect example of having a wonderful community. So the original topic we have been doing for GoalChat, quarter year, mid-year, and 3/4 year check-ins with Keith Spiro and another, and Stacia and Jennifer Watson, who were part of our New Year's. And Jennifer's a storm chaser. Apparently there's weather. And Stacia's flight got delayed. And she's like, Jeb, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay, we could do this show with 2 guests. But one, Keith, you're awesome. But come on, we really want to bring together people's vibes together. And I was thinking, what is a good topic? And Keith is a community builder. And I'm like, okay, let's just talk about that. And I am so grateful to Dayna Steele and Nicky Pitman because they both responded. And within 10 minutes, we had our panel on community building. And I think that's the thing is I say all the time, you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. And you never quite know for what you will need your people. Apparently, sometimes this do embrace a new topic. And I do talk about networking a lot on the show because, relationship development, it's part of what gets you where you want to go. But community is also the essence of that. Anyway, it's going to be awesome. So you might be watching us live. You might be watching us as the replay or GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network. But no matter how you found us, I'm so glad you're here. And guests, I am so glad you all are here as well. And I'm just going to let you guys introduce yourselves because all people know right now is you're awesome, which is true. But beyond that, so Nicky, please welcome Nicky Pitman. Please share who you are and what it is about community that you think you are here. How's that?
That's great. Hi, Deb. Thanks for inviting me on. And my name is Nicky Pitman. I am the director of Shemesh Farms, which is a social enterprise, a program, and an initiative of Shalom Institute. We are a small herb farm that offers community and programming and employment to adults with diverse abilities. We work in an urban setting currently in Zuma Beach, and we grow over 22 different kinds of herbs. We make herb blends and we make lavender sachets. We jar our own honey since the Woolsey fire devastated our campus in November of 2018. We're part of a honey collective, and that's a piece of community. So as the director of the program, everything I do has to do with community. It has to do with our community at Shemesh, which means sun in Hebrew. And our tagline is because the sun shines on all of us. And that means that everyone is welcome. It doesn't matter what your ability is or your race, your religion. If you want to be part of Shemesh, you get to be. And what's been really incredible about the work and the farm is that we get to build out into the greater Los Angeles, Ventura communities, and just establishing collaborative ways to work with organizations like Pepperdine, we're currently at Malibu United Methodist Church where we live, different organizations that we work with their day programs, other organizations that we bring in to learn about what we do and who we are, and to garner volunteers. And I think once you set foot at Shemesh Farms, you kind of want to come back. So it's been a really incredible experience getting to do this. And it's just something I've done my whole life. I've always been in the arts world and the education world. And I think that's one of my favorite things to do is to bring people together, meaningful conversations, meaningful experiences, and introducing people to each other, people to different organizations and different experiences. So that's
Awesome.
all I can say for now.
Well, and it is exactly why, because you have helped to grow and really embrace this community, but your background is theater, another type of community, and education. So they're all, and you'll see in a minute why I thought you'd be a good fit for Dayna and Keith, because they also have one foot in the arts, but I will let them tell you that. So Keith, great to have you here. Welcome. Who
Thank
are
you.
you?
Who am I? I'm a business strategist and community builder. It's coming off 30 plus years sales, marketing, and communications in the corporate world. This is a lot of fun, and it's something I've always done. I realize looking back on my career in sales and marketing and working for a Fortune 500 company. So it's an interesting journey, right, for all of us. And community is how you get things done, and more so now than ever. But it's really always been that way, right? The original people in caves getting together as a group, you get more work done. It's done more easily when everybody's pulling together on that. And that's kind of what caught my attention. I'm also a professional photographer, and camera's always been by my side. I've been doing photography shows since I'm probably 18, 19 years old, and I've had a darkroom since I'm 12. So it's a lifelong, I see the world through a rectangular lens, and now occasionally a square one for some of the social media channels. And my role really has been at this stage in life, helping organizations that I think make a difference and helping them do better. And so Communicast came out of the pandemic when everybody was in lockdown. Sitting at home, I started picking up the phone saying, hey, what are you doing? How are you surviving? What are you doing for the communities that you worked with? Ted Rubin is a friend, and I called him up, and his answer to me, because I said, what do I name this thing? And his comment was, you should call it Communicast, as in community broadcasting. It started in 2000. It's won 2 awards now at New Hampshire Press Association. One was use of social media, and the other was on the arts focus, which is kind of where I've shifted. In this day and age, with the noise that's out there, arts cuts through a lot of the gray zone, a lot of the noise. You feel art before you get to object to it or have a line of thinking or bias. And particularly, anything that you see or hear musically, particularly, doesn't have the same barriers to communication.
Awesome. And another big thing about community with you is alignment, which has to do with your secret in the book. And Dayna's secret has to do with communication, which is another part of community building. So Dayna, who are you?
Oh gosh, such a good question. In fact, I was working on some new profiles today and I was like, how do I fit that in those few characters? I don't think it's going to work. Let's see. I am the playwright and star of the award-winning play, The Woman in the Mirror, which is the journey of a mother and a daughter, a dark comedy, a journey of a mother and a daughter into caregiving. It is based on my best-selling book, Surviving Alzheimer's with Friends, Facebook, and a really big glass of wine. So working on getting a play to the Fringe Festival in Scotland to get it in front of some big producers. So using my community definitely for that, to get it in front of producers, investors, West End, Broadway, streaming services next August in Scotland. So number one priority right now is moving the Woman in the Mirror to bigger stages and larger audiences. I am working on a book about recovering from caregiving that Deb's helping me with on that. And as with all of my books, this will be my 18th book, but it's the first one I'm actually doing a book proposal. So that's been an interesting journey. I think I'd rather have a root canal, but but it's getting better. It's getting better. No, actually, Deb has helped me so much with it. I host 2 podcasts, Surviving Alzheimer's, to help families and those going through it and who are trying to figure out, what do you do? What's next? And let them know they're not alone. And then I do one called Off Their Rockers for women 50 plus, which Deb's been on, who are just, still rocking this world, whether it's in business or rock and roll or whatever. We like to steal our tagline from a famous tagline you might recognize. I'm not dead yet. And what else? Oh, I've written a streaming series and a film based on 4 women in their 80s who were all rock stars in some way at some point in the 60s and have rediscovered their rock and roll roots in their 80s. So that's been a lot of fun to work on. So that's what
Well,
I do.
well, and we can all agree, there's always something to do, always something to write, always something to create within a community. And as many people know, in addition to being goal strategist, I specialize in helping people with book proposals, getting those big ideas out of their head onto a plan. Get it? Goals, books. See some thematic stuff there. But we all have things that we're passionate about. And if you're tuning in, you're going to self-identify this. As long as you have something, why not create community around it? This is really, really strange to say. My first community is how I got my jump into the goal setting world. I was doing events for Barnes & Noble this back when I lived in Chicago. I've lived in LA 27 years. So do whatever math you want. But the whole purpose was to bring people together, share what you're working on, what you need support on, and your goals for next time, and being a beacon of encouragement, which led to restarting the group here and everything else I've done since. So do you all remember your first community building experiences?
Mine was I was on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the radio in college and then in Houston, and so that was my community, was building that audience of listeners. So it was a different kind of community, because I was in a room alone with a microphone. Thank God there were no cameras back then. Uh, for many reasons, thank goodness there were no cameras back then in the studio. But I learned early on when I got into radio at 17 that I had to build that community. And I built that community by playing the music they wanted to hear and giving them the information they needed, giving them the concert tickets, but also going out and being a part of the community. Uh, I would volunteer to MC every event. I would any time anybody was like, will you come be at my birthday party? Yes, I will. I mean, I said yes to everything, but it built my tribe, it built my community, it built my audience. That so many of those people, I'm 66, so almost 50 years worth of listeners that are still with me on social media, Facebook and on my podcast and Instagram.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, we're all old now. They just came with me.
Well, but that's the thing, they grow with you, the interest. And we talked about this because I also just interviewed you for Third Act about when you have your people and they are your people, they are always your people.
But you have to take care of your people. And that's why, they've called themselves steel workers for as long as I can remember. And I've had people walk up to me in the customs line in Panama and say, I am really sorry to bother you, but I'm a steel worker. At which point my kids go, oh my God, here, but it's, I worked so hard to build that community, and I did it through my volunteer work and through charity and through being a part of the community. Again, anytime anybody invited me to do anything, come promote my garage sale or come do something for the American Heart Association, whatever it was, I went. And as my listenership grew and my ratings grew and I became more famous in Houston. I became, one of the most successful female DJs in the country. I never stopped doing that because then I was in a position where I needed to say thank you. I needed to continue to give back. And that's just a habit I can't break. It's what you do. The more you do to help someone else be successful, the more successful you will be, period. So,
Keith, you get to follow that because you've been nodding along.
Absolutely. So Dayna and I will have this lovely conversation after we're off air. There are so many places we touch on. But I didn't know how to answer that. I'm going back in the head, right? How far and what's the first community? But as she's talking, it popped out because my nickname was Spiro's Heroes.
There you go.
And that came from when I really hit the ground running was college. College for me was the first opportunity to create things and do things. I'd had other, there were jobs prior to that, but none of them had impact. They were things that kids could do, and it was all very structured. You're paid X number of dollars an hour, you stock shelves, you make deliveries, nothing terribly exciting. Got to college.
Keith, I have to interrupt you because your audio is weaving in and out.
Uh-oh. I will try to shout. Is this better and consistent or not? We'll figure it out.
We'll find out. Okay,
right.
Continue.
So I'll try not to move also. I tend to be very active. This was an outing club that was in existence when I got to the school. And it had a very low membership. It had a school budget of $25 to spend on whatever they wanted to do. And I had been already a camping family and had done a lot of day hikes and interesting outings. And it just made no sense that, everything was rule following. And so what we ended up doing when they had the first day of school in the second year, I was now a member of the organization and running, operations or programming, whatever it was at the time. And we decided to do reverse psychology. And so everybody had tables set up all around the campus, come join us, come join us. We had a table that was empty of humans. And on it was a flyer that said, we'd love to have been here, but we're out today hiking. Some of us are out canoeing. Other people are whitewater rafting. And so while we would have loved to have been standing around doing this, we can't. Here's I guess it was a sign-up sheet because there wasn't any internet or even email addresses, or it was just at the fledgling stage. And that's how we ended up growing this organization to several hundred people. And our budget went into, the thousands of dollars with an active membership. And there are people from that group a long time ago that I'm still very much in touch with. And it's kind of interesting, to see that come about. So that was the first opportunity to have that chance to build. And again, as Dayna said just minutes ago, the more you give, the more you're getting back. The faster it grows, the more people appreciate. That's part of what's wrong with this whole process.
This is a phone for those of you who are just listening.
Right.
He's playing show and tell with his phone. Okay, go on.
That's it. So, but the problem is you get this little dopamine hit, but you're never really connecting with anybody. And it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the people behind the curtain. But the people behind the curtain in social media are not your friends. Your friends are the people who, like you had today, Debra, showed up when you said, help.
Yeah, or
different.
You say help, I say, hey, let's hang out. But yes.
Both the same.
Yes, but we've all been there with a podcast. So you just do it really sweetly, like, hey, but it's still a help. I need a guest.
Heath, your sound is still wavering. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about it while Nikki is answering the same question. Did you have a cute nickname too? Or did you just make one up while we're talking?
Me?
Nikki, for your first community. What was your first community, and did it have a cute nickname too?
I was thinking my first community was really when I was a kid and when I was at camp. And I think the interesting thing for me about my story is I'm 61, Dayna, and not 66 yet. So in the next 5 years, I've got some growth, but I was in Chicago, as Deb knows, for quite a long time doing theater and theater education, starting theater companies, working in creative realms and mindfulness realms. And yeah, I went to a Camp JCA out here in LA and went as a kid, worked as a counselor. And where I work now at Shemesh Farms is part of Shalom Institute umbrella's Camp JCA. So I've come full circle, come all the way home. So I feel like I've been connected back to my homeland, LA, been connected back to this community of people that just really enriched my life and really set me on a trajectory in terms of my values. But I was thinking as you were each talking about the idea of a mandala and how the concentric circles of communities come in and come out, so that Dayna, you were sharing how, you can't lose your people. You really stay close. And sometimes they're always there, but sometimes they're over here. And then sometimes they come together. And that's what's been so lovely, I think, in my realm, is I've been able to go out and come back. I've been able to bring people together. And I think that is the one good thing about technology, is the whole Zoom thing, because during the pandemic, I actually directed a play on Zoom, and brought actors together from all over the country, which was really wonderful. And then we donated the money to the play was called The Welcoming, and it was all about redlining back in the 1960s. But we donated all the proceeds that we received to a organization called Open Communities in Chicago, and we followed it up with a panel discussion, and we brought people in from all over the country for that too. So I love how Zoom can do that. And the same during the pandemic, as I taught yoga online, and I had people from all over the country and actually all over the world who joined me. And each 8-week session, we chose a different organization to donate to. And I think that is the key, is to be in this because it is about connections, because it is about thinking of the world in bigger terms than ourselves. And when we can bring people together, like-minded people, or even people who aren't like-minded, who might just want to discuss or listen or learn, it's just enriching for all of us. And in whatever means I can do that, I'm so grateful that I have that. I always used to kind of freak out that I wasn't like all my friends who I was in theater school with went off to have careers, always trajectory in the theater and film or TV or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm kind of happy doing anything creative. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I was like, nothing's wrong with me. I'm happy. That's a great thing. And to be able to find these different ways to bring all the things I love together in community is what really floats my boat.
That's awesome. And I feel like you all answered this, but I'm going to ask you it in like the straightforwardest of terms, because you're also talking about your community experiences. But what to each of you is community? How would you define that? Nicky, do you want to start?
Sure. I think mostly community is about relationship, and it's about bringing together relationships, is bringing people together so that you feel like you belong, you feel like you're connected, you feel like you have something to work together on, whether it's playing mahjong together because you've been friends forever and you do other things, or whether it's doing things online like we're doing, or like I just talked about, or hearing what everyone in this room has talked about. I think it's really comes down to relationships, how we relate to one another and how we bring each other in.
Awesome. Keith, want to yes and that one?
Yes, and while that defines community, I look at it as the things that are satisfying, right? A community gets together, you don't have to have all the same opinion, but you feel safe. You have satisfying outcomes. You work together. You can accomplish things in a group better when you have a community. So, and I think we have moved away from diverse dialogue. And that's a lot of reasons why these totally insular communities have become difficult bubbles that, you're part of the blue team or the red team, and there are all these little differentiations when we have much more in common than not as humans. How do I eat? How do I get work done? My car breaks down. How do I get somewhere? And so it comes from a personal need satisfied by others with you. And again, back to feeling safe, feeling acknowledged, being helpful, and getting a good feeling back because of that, the vibes of it.
Nice. And you can be community with people who are different than you. Who knew? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Dayna, what about you? How do you define community?
Sometimes I forget that some people are scared to talk to strangers and, get on a stage, or I can create a community in 10 blocks on a subway car. I'll talk to anybody, bring anybody in. I think, to me, community is everyone that I have access to. Everyone all over the world, no matter where I am, I bring these people into my community. A good example is right now, every morning, I do a list of nonpartisan facts. They're not Republican, they're not Democrat, they're facts. They're not opinions. Big difference. They are facts. There is no opinion, there is no speculation, there is no experts say this might happen. No, it's this is what happened. This is what was said. So it's a list of 10 to 20 facts I do every morning. And it has brought together a completely new community, but also brought in all of my other communities, my radio community, my play community, my friend community, my family community. Because, it's like Keith was saying, we all have to talk to each other. And I'm a big stickler for democracy and the truth. And it was just driving me crazy, a lot of the stuff that was just going viral that was just not true. So I spend 3 hours every morning curating this list. I put it all over social media. I do it as an email. I do it on my website. And then we have conversations. Do some people get angry at the facts? Yes. And I try to explain they're facts. I don't have any control over these. These are facts. I'll give you a perfect example. A guy who was just getting nasty. It was just this. I joke, but I literally do get up and check my death threats every morning. But he was just this side of a threat. And so I always go to their pages to see, does it look like a bot? Does it look like somebody I should be scared of? Does it look like somebody I should be concerned about? And he deals in designer cows, like really high-end show cows or something. And he had the funniest post, like new models arriving daily, and it's all these cows standing around in the field. And so I'll usually go back and make a comment. So it's very clear. I've been on your page. I know who you are. I can find you. Be nice. Play nice with others. And long story short, delightful Dayna, a baby cow, will be born in January, and that will be its name. And we are friends now, and he and I talk all the time, and we don't agree. Sometimes he gets angry at my facts. I have to remind him they're not my facts. They are the facts. But it's bringing all these people into your community. Don't keep people separated. Well, that's my family. Well, that's my friends. Well, that's my work. I just bring everybody in under the tent and, try to find out what is it everybody's working on? What is it you like? What is it you don't like? What do you need help with? I love to ask that on Mondays across my social media. What is the one thing you need to succeed this week? Is it a introduction? Is it venture capital? Is it information? What is it? Nobody can help you if you don't speak up. And that's what your community is there for, is to support you. Maybe not monetarily, but they're in your community for a reason, because they like what you do, or you like what they do, or, the same for both ways. So your community is with you because they want to be there. So invite them in to be a part of your world.
It's that simple. And I love that because you basically each yes-anded each other. It is all about being of service, being together, and uplifting others.
And I need a box of herbs, Nikki. So just send me a box of herbs. I just cannot grow all of my damn herbs correctly. So
You got it.
We
are now communally connected.
Closet chef. My basil and my dill and my oregano are rocking, but some of the other ones not so well.
My basil, it was like $5 basil plant for $1. So of course I got it, and it is not doing well. I can grow things in water. I cannot grow things in dirt. I feel like that's a different conversation. Okay.
I think it's an LA problem.
That's an LA problem.
A lot of pavements.
It is
Whenever your
definitely
community is there, ask for help.
okay.
Ask your community. Whenever you need anything, ask your community. That's why they're there, to help each.
Well,
Well,
that
can I throw something out, Deb, really quick? Since you guys
please.
brought up the herbs, one of the things that I share a lot, kind of ad nauseum about what we do at Shemesh Farms is we could be doing anything, right? We exist solely to provide community and connection and programming and employment to these adults with diverse abilities. However, we work with plants. We could be working with drapes. We could be doing anything, but because we work with the natural world, you walk into the garden and the garden is full of diversity, right? Like every plant, every flower, every herb, everything grows at its own pace in its own way, and it's all beautiful in its own separate way. And yet we plant something called companion plants to help these plants grow to reach their potential, right? They keep away critters, or they bring in pollinators, and it's what we do. It's this incredible interconnection with nature. And if we would just follow nature, gosh darn it, right? Like we might all be able to be in community like you're talking about, right? And
We all
really
need
just listen.
pollinators around us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We can
Well,
all be companion plants for each other.
well, I feel like you just answered the question I was about to ask, which is how do you build community with your companion plants? You know, we're all in this together,
That's
right?
it.
Well, you recognize you can't do it alone. Right. And all ideas are good ideas. And the more ideas you have and the more perspectives you have, you get closer to the truth. You get closer to figuring out solutions. You come up with brilliant ideas. I mean, it's the Reese's peanut butter cup, right? It's I got chocolate, I got peanut butter. Oh my God, we have something amazing. Right. And then you like add stuff to it as Reese's has done over the years. I don't know if it's made it better, but you know what I mean.
It has.
It's the whole thing.
Well, and I do like the idea of companion plants, and I will let Dayna and Keith chime in on this question. But what do you do when one of your companion plants happens to be a weed? How do you
You learn to say
extricate?
no.
You extricate plants that should not be next to your good plants from your community.
No is a complete sentence. No. No. I mean, sometimes I have to, block people from my community because they don't end up being a friend naming a cow after me. They just continue to not be nice people on my Facebook page. And I give them a chance. Tell me your side. Tell me what you think. Why are you arguing with me? Tell me why. Tell me, talk to me. But then sometimes they become really nasty weeds, and you got to just pull them out by their roots and block them. So you have to learn what's good for you and what's not good for you. I'd have to go look up who did the quote or the statistic, but our net worth is something to the effect of your net worth is about 20% either way of the people around you. So are you surrounding yourself with really successful plants and companion plants, and or are you surrounding yourself with weeds? Since we're using those analogies now, there's very few people I have to weed out, so to speak, of my community. But if they're holding me back, or they're holding other people back, or they're not contributing to the community, whatever that community is, and only taking, then you have to step back and say, you can't be a part of this.
Right. And
You're speaking as a leader, though. And I would say, because I'm coming from an area, I'm a facilitator of communities. And I work in multiple communities. So for me, just to cut quickly, because weeding out is clearly improving something within a particular area. You don't always have that choice if you're not the leader. And if it's a cooperative community, what I look at, so I like the idea of companion plants, but what I take it to is common ground. And the one thing you have to do if you're facilitating a community is find that common ground. That you can have two extremes who may not normally work together or may never want to be in the same place. But just as you talk to everybody, Dayna, I also have that amazing, it just happens. You start this conversation and eventually you find this point of, oh, we were both in the same place with the same group, have this friend in common.
It's usually a rock.
And
It's
the
usually a
tension.
rock star. What was the what was the favorite song I used to play that you liked, or Bon Jovi or whatever?
Mhm.
That is sometimes literally the only thing we can find to agree on. Was that KLOL was a great rock station, and then they'll immediately me on me again. I imagine that's what they sound like in real life. Me.
Oh, like they're on the Peanuts characters.
Yes.
What I always find is fun, and I was doing this last night. My friend and frequent guest chef Katie Chin did a reveal party for her TEDx event, and we were playing the game of who do we have in common on LinkedIn, and most of the people, we had multiple connections from different communities within our lives, and that's always kind of fun. It's like we have 8 people in common. Wait, I know this person from there and this person from there, and the different disparate groups, but people like us who can and do talk to just about everyone should, we expect that. But it's always kind of fun when I'm talking to someone and they're like, oh, we probably only have this one person in common, and then it's 5 or 10 or 20, and it's, oh, okay. Finding the common ground within different communities is another just way to, I guess, instant bond, because I meet people who knows lots of people. They are my people, and vice versa.
And sometimes if I can jump in, sometimes
yes.
you create a community without even realizing that's what you're doing. That's what happened with me when Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I had no idea what to do. And I didn't want to have to call anybody else because it was just devastating to have to keep calling people. And so I just said, Mom's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And to wake up the next morning and have hundreds of people I didn't know reach out, and not only to comfort me, but also to gather comfort from me. And we really, for 2.5 years, built this new community that is my Alzheimer's caregiver community that I deal with every day now, helping people make it through that diagnosis. But it's because I reached out on Facebook. Or the first time I said, my mom did something today and I laughed at her, what's wrong with me? And hundreds of people came on with their own funny stories and told me it's okay to laugh. So your community is there to not only support you and to help you, but for you to lean on. You sometimes, I don't know how I would have made it through this journey without this community of strangers, many of whom I have never met and probably never will meet, but got me through all of this, and still do to this day as I'm working on the play and writing books.
And you just described exactly why I love helping people create the plan for their book, because when you've been through an experience, when you've got a body of knowledge, why wouldn't you want to share it and support others and find, the people, and then have the people who need you. I know you told the story when you were on the show, we were talking about art and soul back over the summer. And you said that you didn't realize you just had a vibe to invite someone to your play. And afterwards you found out. He was like, oh, yes, I'm caregiving.
Oh, it was a young man. It was a waiter. I mean, in a waiter in a very, very much retirement town south of Tucson. A really cute waiter. And I was like, why are you here? And he goes, oh, well, I came back to live with my grandmother, and that's all I needed. I knew exactly why he had come back. And but I made it clear to him when he did come see the play, here's my number, here's these people's number. Believe me, you're not alone. And that's what your community does, is gives you that gives you that support that even if you don't have to reach out to anyone, at least you know they're there. So, I shared my information with him. Will I ever hear from him? I don't know. But I know I gave him a community starter kit. Like, here you go, because you're going to need this, honey. Um, and I didn't say that to him, but I knew, here's my name, here's my number. I'm here if you need me.
Because again, you never know who needs to hear your voice unless you are using your voice. And I referenced this when we at the onset, I talk about networking and relationship development and community building is kind of an outgrowth. But what do you all think? Where does networking versus community building differ in your minds? Keith, you want to start us off on this one?
Sure. So networking, immediately when you said that word, I thought of LinkedIn as a platform. And it started as a place that everybody went out and connected with each other. And before COVID, you'd go to events where you would trade as many business cards as you could give away and grab a bunch. And so today, at least, networking to me has as much a bad connotation as community building is a good one. There are so many platforms and so many ways to exchange data. But if they're not there for you and they don't follow up, or you've got 2,000 followers and you say, hey, I need help raising a barn. The barn wall has fallen down and I need 20 people. That's the difference between a networking file. Well, good luck, Keith. We hope it works out. And people who show up.
Okay, meeting new people versus those who show up, in a sense, yes?
Well, it's having a list of names of people you're connected to, but not, how connected is that? The network is, I know somebody who knows somebody who will help me reach the other somebody I want.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean there's anything other than that tangential attachment.
Yes. Well, that's why I think networking is a dirty word and relationship building is the clean one.
Good. I answered it right.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely. You. Okay, so was it Dayna or Nicky who was chiming in?
Oh, I was just going to say there's no difference to me. It's all the same. It's just all part of, it's your people. It's your community. It's your crowd. Now for me, I try to explain, the people that I talk to and the way I post on LinkedIn is sometimes a lot different than how I would post on Facebook or the pictures I would put on Instagram or the videos I'd put on TikTok, the bane of my existence. I'm moving to an island someday with no electricity and no cell towers. And I'm just going to go and not post for a year. But again,
says the woman whose book title has Facebook in the title. Yes, go on.
I know. I happen to love social media. Yes, it's got its really bad, there's a lot of issues with it now. But to me, it's just another radio station. And when I was on the radio, it was a rock station, so I had to play the rock songs that people wanted to hear. But still, I had somebody who listened to me that loved Sammy Hagar. They might not like Rush, but they would put up with the Rush until the Sammy Hagar came on. To me, it's all the same. And I love pulling people from my community to maybe create a new network for someone else. I love putting people together. I love, I can't help you, but let me ask on Facebook and see who can hook me up with who can hook me up with who. But I'm fortunate in that I have such large communities on all these platforms and in my email list that odds are I'm going to find somebody that can help. I will find somebody to put that damn barn up.
So you don't need to know the barn raisers. You just need to know the connectors, the Daynas, the Debs, the Nickys, right? The Keiths.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I got somebody who's doing this and they need help, here's where you can contact, whatever. I don't hesitate to ask my network. Sometimes they come through with shining colors, and sometimes maybe not so much. Is it because I didn't post it right, or I didn't post it at the right time, or whatever? You just got to ask.
You
to
do
me,
have to ask, because if
it
you
does.
don't ask, the answer is no.
I'm raising money to get the show to Fringe right now. And, I ran for Congress twice, and I've always said money is the one thing I can't ask for. That's the one skill set I don't have. And you have to lose that attitude the minute, you label yourself a candidate. But what I did learn is that when you ask people for money, they usually say no, but they still talk to you later on. I learned nobody was going to eat me when I asked them for money. So that's a lovely skill set I've now brought forward with me so that I can spend all day asking people to my community to donate to my play. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But you just end of the day, you say thank you and pour that really big glass of wine and hope for better the next day.
Nikki, networking versus community building. I didn't have a better transition, so I just
That's
moved
okay.
on over.
I was thinking, I think networking does get a bad rap in terms of being a bad word, and it is about relationship building. It's a gateway drug to community, because you never know who you're going to talk to that's going to become your community, or that it might become somebody else's. Like Dayna, I'm all on board with you. I got that from my parents who talk to everybody and anybody, and I have this habit too, and I love it. And I'm always like, why don't you want to talk to me? but but I think that it is it's a I was just at an event on Saturday, and it was a service event, and I was meeting people from different organizations, and there's the people you just really automatically connect with, and then there's the people you're like, oh, I know somebody who might be interested, or oh, that's cool what you do. I'll just take your card. I don't know where
But if I
this is
run
going to
across
go. Maybe
somebody,
it's good.
I'll hook you guys up. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, and I think that's how you get to meet new people to bring into your community or others. And so I think networking is part of community. Might be, like what they talk about, we're friends that haven't met yet.
Well, I
Like,
am a big fan of meet as many people as you can when you go to places and see what develops. And you do know right away who your instant BFFs are. Keith and I met during the pandemic at our friend Jeff Pulver's. He was doing passion-based networking, and right away we're like, okay, we need to have a conversation one-on-one beyond the group conversation. And you just don't know. Actually, I met each of you through other people. I met Nikki because Elena Hall, Elaine, also in the book, her husband wrote about the Shemesh Farms spices for a recipe roundup. And I'm like, I need to do something on Shemesh Farms. And Dayna and I actually met twice through our friend Vivica von Rosen, because, and you were on the show a couple years ago. And then when I was working on the book, it was like, you need Dayna. Let me reconnect you with Dayna. So it's you need the people, and you reach out to your connection. You've got your connections and your connectors, and I am blessed to be a connector who happens to know a lot of connectors. And I will also give a shout out to my mom, who is, I grew up having conversations, talking to people, and I have in my recipe file a recipe on a piece of cardboard that she got because she was talking to someone in the produce section of the grocery store and got this recipe. It is inefficient to keep something on cardboard, but I'm not throwing that away, because it is also the connection to the memory and how the connections come together. So
When I hear adults say, yeah, I have a hard time talking to strangers or whatever. We are not 5 anymore. We are trying to make a living. We are trying to grow a community. We are trying to succeed at something, or, I remember my 5-year-old saying to me, how come you get to talk to strangers and we don't? Of course, he's a 29-year-old smartass now, but how come you get to talk to strangers? Like, because I'm bigger than you. That's why. But seriously, we're adults. And, I promise you, if you reach out and talk to strangers, they're probably going to talk back. And that is a great way to let somebody know what you're doing. Or, somebody like Nikki's, you know, getting on the subway or getting on the bus, whatever, and somebody's carrying herbs. And I'm like, oh, those look really, really nice. Where'd you get those? Oh, yeah. Do you know a lot about herbs? Yes, I do. I mean, just don't be afraid. We're not 5 anymore.
We're not 5. Good to know.
I'm going to go back for a minute to the networking versus community question, because I think Nikki defined it really well when she talked about it being a gateway. And that to me answers, because when I was talking about it, it had to do with what people do afterwards. And we all know platforms where you meet somebody and the next thing they're doing is selling you something. You have no knowledge of them, and there's a lot of piling on of stuff. But as a gateway, networking is that opening of what you do next. And that takes away the fear, because you need a gateway. You need an entrance point, whether it's the herbs or something you have in common. So I thank you both for correcting or revising. I have to be much more specific when I answer the questions on networking versus community.
But they were both good answers that got us.
Absolutely.
Us to this. Well, I think that it's a gateway. Networking is a gateway to relationships and community.
And that's why we're doing this, is we get to think about things differently because we're talking through it.
Whenever anybody asks me my favorite form of networking, I say this show, because it's a great way to have conversations. I get to introduce people, because unless it's on purpose, they don't know each other before 5 minutes or 10 minutes before we go live. But the other part of it is, for me, it's a great chance to have deeper conversations with friends, or to re-catch up with someone I haven't spoken to in a while. Oh, it's been ages. Sure, we could jump on the phone, or you could be on my show. I mean, both are good. But when we have these conversations, nothing brings me happier. Nothing brings me happiness. Nothing makes me happier than when I see 2 people who I have introduced on my show. They've been interviewed on each other's podcasts, or someone does an event. And about a month ago, we created this entire collaboration because we met on GoalChat. I mean, that's what we're here to connect the dots for other people to help elevate. And one thing I really pride myself on is that of these 60 people I interviewed for 52 Secrets, I know all of them. They were all people I knew, or people who were in the books that, and Dayna, I use this all the time. You need to interview Christine Toy Johnson because I want to know how she does it. It's a matter of getting people together so we can elevate one another. And that's networking leads to community building, which leads to success. And now I think we need to give some goals to our community who's tuning in. So what is something people could do today, tomorrow, immediately to get better at developing and or building community? So Nikki, what goal would you like to gift?
I think I'm going to kind of bank it off Dayna, is just, if you're sitting somewhere, you're walking somewhere, you're in the produce section, wherever you are, the subway, is to just be curious, ask a question. Oh, what's that book you're reading? Or, I see that you've got blah, 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 to just kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone and connect with somebody just on a person-to-person level and see where it goes.
And if you don't want to talk to strangers, do it at an event where you're somewhere where there's some, if you're still afraid of talking to strangers, if you want to have it a little bit vetted, do it at an event where there's a common connection. But again, like Dayna says, we can talk to strangers. We're grown-ups. And if you get creepy vibes, run. Yeah. But most people are... I just wrote an article for Writer's Digest about tips for networking in person. I'll put the link in the recap once it's up. But it's basically saying, when you meet people, unless you get red flag vibes, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to connect with them on LinkedIn. They might not be your ideal client or reader or community member, but people know people. And the more people you know, the more people you know, which sounds really logical. right? But you never know who in your tribe or who in your tribe's tribe is going to come through for you. So love the goal. Thank you. Keith, what goal are you gifting today?
I'm going to gift the goal of turning things that have often been used for bad purposes to good ones. And the gift is see something, say something. Because it really is the same as what Dayna had said and Nicky was saying, right? Wherever you are, you see someone sitting next to you or standing or talking, and you see something they're holding. That's the introduction. That's the icebreaker. You see something, say something about it. It's not about you. If you start your sentence with I, you're in trouble. There is no I in the word team. It's an often used comment, but the reality is if you see something and say something, that's how a conversation begins.
And the more conversations, the more connections, the more community. See how it works? I love it when things are circular. Dayna, goal.
Don't forget your past communities. So it's more of a challenge than a goal, but every day for the next, let's say 5 days, every day for the next 5 days, I want you to call, text, or email one person from your past communities that you haven't spoken to in ages, and just reach out and say, hey, I was thinking about you. What are you working on these days? It's not about you. It's like he said, it's not about you. You're reaching out to them. Hey, just found myself thinking about you, read this article. It made me think about you. Haven't talked in ages. How are you? So, how are you? What are you working on? And how can I help?
Oh, I love that. And I'm going to give a cheat to that because I think that's something people can do every week is reach out to 5 people, and it doesn't have to be one a day. You could do all of them tomorrow and then none, or split
An old
it
boss,
however you
an
want.
old coworker, an old high school friend, somebody that used to comment on your stuff on Facebook all the time. What happened to them? Reach out, make sure they're okay. You just never know what people may be working on or going through that you could either help or get involved with. And again, you're not calling to ask for anything, absolutely nothing. Well, Dayna, what are you working on? Oh, I'm always working on the play, but really, what are you doing now? What do you need help with? Is there anything I can do to help? Or that's really cool. That's what you're doing. I'm working with somebody right now who does book proposals, and you probably should talk to her. Let me hook you guys up. That's it. I was just thinking about you. It also makes them feel really good that somebody was thinking about them.
Well, who does it make feel better? It's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you can compete for who the conversation who is happier from the conversation because they're going to be happy just to be thought of. And there's
some people will be just like, I'm fine.
Nothing. Okay, bye.
But it's like, okay, well, I was just thinking about you. Take care. This is my new phone number. Hang on to it. Whatever. Just put one person every day from one of your past communities that you haven't spoken to in ages.
And the goal is for this week, but there is no reason why you can't do this every week.
Well, once you get in the habit, you'll discover it's actually kind of fun to figure out what people are doing and how they're doing.
I love just the hi, how are you?
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
They're gonna answer.
Yeah. Everybody. How are you?
Keith, you look like you want to say something. No?
No. I mean, I can talk, but I don't know if you want that right now.
Okay, then. Well, and in the spirit of community and being in touch with everyone, in the recap, if you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, we'll get everybody's links and also everybody's LinkedIn. So if you're tuning in, send us each a connection request because we would love to have you as part of our tribe and be part of yours. But beyond that, where can people learn more about each of you? Keith?
Easy. Spell my name correctly. You'll find me. KEITHSPIRO. And so .com. So it's email is keith@keithspiro.com. Website, keithspiro.com.
Awesome. And Nicky?
You can reach me at Shemesh Farms, www.shemeshfarms.com, or on my personal Instagram at Nick_Pitman, NIC_Pitman, 1T.
Amazing. And Dayna?
And it's Dayna with a Y, not Danielle Steele. She sold a lot more books than I did. So it's at Dayna Steele everywhere, DaynaSteele, and DaynaSteele.com.
And again, I'm at the Deb Method everywhere, and go to thedebmethod.com/blog and get everybody's links and LinkedIn's. And we're all in this together. So why wouldn't we want to be your connectors and connectees or a something? I knew it was going to be a great conversation. I love it when I'm right. Friends, what final thought would you like to leave everybody with today? Ooh, and who shall I pick on first? Keith, what the?
Oh no. Final thought. I have no clue. Final thought connected to what? We are all speakers and talkers. Pick a topic. I'll give you a final thought. When we were off camera before it started, somebody said, I can't do a book because I can't figure out the cover. It makes no sense. I don't know what to do without a cover. I'm nowhere. So I am not a writer. I am not a graphic artist, but I take pictures. Here's my cover. This is a book. It came out.
Oh, wow. Pretty.
It has a picture and text. This book raised well over $1,000 for a nonprofit that I care about. Simple as that. You could have agonized over how to do it correctly for a long period of time. I just did it and put it out there. And that's the key. So final thought, just do it, get started, and put it out there. There will always be people who will support you. And there are others who might not like what you're doing, but it doesn't matter if you have a goal and a mission.
Well, I just edited it to be more general, which I love. So I hope you do as well. But the message being, stop getting in your own way. Don't agonize about how to do something. Just put your passion out in the world, because you never know, again, who needs to hear it. But you also need to have the confidence in what you love to get it out into the world. Did I paraphrase you well enough, Keith? Or are you frozen?
I can neither confirm nor deny. No.
No?
Nope. Let it go.
What?
Just let it go.
Okay then. Wait, why is it it's not letting me highlight Nikki, and I do not know why. So let's try this again. Nikki,
Here I
final
am.
thought.
Gosh, final thought. I just really enjoyed this conversation, and I think that just being able to say yes whenever possible and then figure it out is a great thing. I think it's kind of banking off of what you were just saying, but I love that you connected with us today and asked us to come on, and this was just, I don't know, I think this was just what I needed. So thanks.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love it. I love it when a plan comes together. And even better when the plan helps all the people, right? And you all are now bonded through community from this conversation on community. Yes, I can keep spiraling. Dayna, final thought.
I need $75,000 to put the woman in the mirror on the stage at Fringe in Scotland in August of 2026. So if you win the lottery, it's Dayna with a Y, Steele.com. It's a love letter to caregivers everywhere, because, hey, it's a journey you'll never forget.
So, and again, to generalize, when you can, if you can, support those in your tribe, because that's what we're all here for.
That's exactly what I said. That and $75,000.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, friends, because this was, and Nick, I love that Nikki pretty much said what I said, which is the conversations that happen are the conversations that are supposed to happen. So thank you so much, Nicky Pitman, Keith Spiro, and Dayna Steele for joining me today. Thank you for tuning in. I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and you can also subscribe to GoalChat, also Taste Buds with Deb, and the Book Proposal Podcast on your favorite place to get your podcasts. And whatever it is that you are creating in life, you don't have to, not only should you not do it alone, you do not need to do it alone. create, develop, connect back to your communities, because we're all in this together. Go be community oriented. Go for it, because we know you can do it. Thanks, everyone.